Esteemed colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to very switch over here to a great man, because I was very sad recently, in fact it was 6 months ago, to hear the death of a friend and a supporter, the great tiger walla and wildlife activist, and very formidable Valmik Thapar. And I'm going to slightly put myself in his place. I don't deserve that, of course, but I wanted to do it. He stood at this very platform in 2016. I remember he got up, big man that he was, wonderful booming voice, and he's extolled the virtues of nature tourism and what a powerful conservation tool that was. He was very avid that was the most important thing, and I'm in a room full of colleagues and friends who are doing that. They are in the nature tourism world and they're making things happen in that world. But I'll be honest with you, Valmik Thapar wasn't always keen on tourism. In fact, when I first met him, he said, "I hate tourism. It's a terrible thing. I don't like it." Mainly because he had spent many years of his life as the only tourist in Ranthambore, as far as I can tell, together with other colleagues like Bitu Sago, who's going to be talking after this. But you know, the wonderful thing about him was that in the 25 years that I knew him and sought his advice, he changed his mind 180 degrees, completely changed his mind. And the reason he had changed his mind was very simple. He'd been to see other places that do nature tourism very well, and he'd been impressed, and he understood, and he thought, I must encourage that format to come back to here. He'd had the privilege to go all over the world and see where nature tourism was being done very well. And so he was brilliant. So he had seen a vast transformation of landscapes, rewilding of areas that had previously been barren or overgrazed, and which now today protects whole areas in Africa and South America. So he was prepared to change his opinion because of what he had seen. And that is a really important element here. So what I'd like to do in the very few minutes I've got today is really put myself in his place, as I said, and think what he would like us, or think what he would have asked of us going forward. And these are the things I've come up with. He would ask. No, he wouldn't ask. He would demand. Since when did anyone ask? He always demanded. He didn't ask for anything. He demanded of things. That India was put on the same platform and love for wildlife as somewhere like Africa was. Okay? So we've talked about that already in our birding fraternity. He would love to see that, and I believe that because I came here 25 years, 30 years ago, and I saw what India had to offer, and it was, this is coming from an African, which I am, I saw that this was as good, if not better, in terms of wildlife. So he would want to see that. He would demand that we make sure somehow governments, the industry, create the same framework, so we put on the same, so wilderness is put on the same format as most of Africa is today. And that is really important. So I'd love to see, and I'm sorry the Minister of Tourism isn't here tonight, as he originally said he was going to be, but have incredible wildlife India, not just incredible India, because we need that to be part of it. He would also demand that tourism and the forest ministries cooperate more constructively with greater collaboration and really put in place, like many countries have done in the around the world, and I'm taking Botswana in Africa, who decided that they would give a 25-year strategic plan for wildlife and nature and tourism. And that was incredible, and that has been so powerful in driving everything that the government's done to make sure those two work together in tandem to benefit communities, to save forests, to turn around community support, etc. for it. And I worry we're not putting in those long-term goals. Valmik would want that 25-year strategic vision. And I think we should really drive for that with those ministries that can affect it. He would demand for greater destination sustainability. We've talked about it tonight. Within specific ecological and environmental carrying capacity limits, where communities are the principal beneficiaries, I should say, and wildlife destinations do not become simply glorified wedding destinations. Again, something we've talked about. And this is really important because that is going to put immense strain on any of the reserves in the coming years. He would demand greater public, community and private partnership in the conservation and the restoration, because we're now in the restoration business. We've actually managed to conserve, thanks to all of you lot, we managed to conserve the most charismatic, the most brilliant species that we have at the apex of the ecological services that he can provide. But now we need to do more than that. We need to go beyond the boundaries of parks. We need to be looking very much at the territorial forests and making sure that the tigers that are now flying out of our great parks are actually can help restore, regenerate, rewild our other areas. So we're keeping our forests, making our forests more and more valuable. He would also demand a variety of formats for tourism. And of course, what we have found ourselves, and again we've talked about it this evening, very much about the similar format for tourism and tiger tourism specifically. He would demand much greater ability to change the way we're formatting it. And maybe that's going to happen outside of our protected areas much quicker than it's now able to do within our protected areas. And I'd love to see much greater specialization so that those who don't want to just spend their entire time going round and round circles looking for tigers could do that, could enjoy the birding, could enjoy all the other things that we could do. I'd love to see more research going on in the areas. I'd love to see more volunteering in wildlife conservation happening. And I think Valmik would absolutely have wanted that too. So Valmik remains a tremendous legacy, and he remains with us here tonight, and we honor that legacy. And dare I say it, we're continuing that work that he helped advise on. I look forward to the rest of the evening when we can showcase the very best in nature tourism, sustainability, enterprise and vision. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julian, for your vision and continued support.